Manfred. He's quite expensive though, isn't he?
Manfred, he's the leader, yeah. All right.
3,000.
Hello again, episode 3. This time we're going to be two different factions. I'll be Leon Kerr again, just to observe. Jack will be the Vampire Counts, who are a very, very fun faction, fielding lots of fairly weak infantry, but some excellent monsters and beasts. And we were fighting Thorgrim Grudgebearer, High King of the Dwarves, his loyal Thane, and a series of dwarven units. Dwarven units specialise in artillery. So, Jack, how are you going to counter the reams of dwarves?
Good defensive line like they've got, and just overwhelming the monsters and stuff.
Cool stuff, cool stuff. You'd be mad not to. So
They've got some good monsters.
You've gone for a standard vampire lord, rather than
I was gonna go for Manfred. Hey, he's not that much more expensive.
I'd recommend Vlad von Carstein, you know, who is actually the patriarch of the Carstein family. He's the oldest Carstein, because he has a very good ability which makes all of his units vanguard.
Yeah.
So you can just throw them straight to the front before the dwarves have a chance to organise themselves. So you've gone with 4 units of Graveguard, Graveguard being your heavy infantry, probably the only heavy infantry the Vampire Counts can field. Whilst you're picking out your units, I'll just go through some of the other things the Vampire Counts have. So we've got Black Knights with Lancers and Barding, so you have your melee cavalry and your shock cavalry. Hex Wraiths, which are a particular favourite of mine. I see Jack's just picked out some. They are armour piercing, which means that the Dwarven faction is going to be very susceptible to them. Ethereal, which means they are very hard to damage using most kinds of attacks, and they cause terror, meaning that the enemy's leadership will take a big hit, causing them to break and flee earlier. And the Blood Knights, which are essentially undead Reichsguard. In the Monsters and Beasts section, you can see that we've got 6 units to choose from here. They're very, very scary. We've got Fell Bats and Dire Wolves. These are the very, very basic early game monsters that you can field, both extremely quick and quite scary to fight against, though very weak against armour. They are just bones reanimated to life. They're very useful for picking off artillery crews and archers who are usually left at the back of armies undefended. Crypt Horrors, who are these lurching, almost Minotaur-like in movement, cudgel-wielding, recently dead corpses who have been brought back to life and just thrown haphazardly at the enemy to break them apart and really terrify them. They have the ability Regeneration as they can reform their flesh. Vampires in the Warhammer universe can also be... are you done, by the way, Jack?
Not quite. I'm looking for one more
cool.
thing, can't quite.
So vampires in this universe can succumb to bloodlust. If they get too deep into the blood hunt, they stray from being human into something more animal, and we'll see that in the form of Vargeists and a Vargulf. And we're not fielding a Terrorgeist today, but that is a huge undead dragon. We might do that in future. We'll do a siege with that at some point.
I'm ready.
Cool stuff. The dwarves, as I mentioned in the first video, even their most basic infantry is armoured. The dwarves pride themselves on being metal clad from head to toe. This makes them very difficult to fight early game, and unless you catch them out with specialised armies, they are very hard to beat. Jack's going to have quite the battle on his hands here, because from the most basic miner to the heaviest hammer-wielding maniac, everyone's wearing at least chainmail. The dwarves' whole culture is based on grudges. As dwarves live longer than humans, they have a very honour-based culture. If you insult a lord or one of its citizens of a certain hold or village, they don't really have villages overland, but some break the status quo and move away to far-off lands. Your name and your deed is recorded in the hold's book of grudges. And today we'll be fighting Thorgrim Grudgebearer, who is the High King of the Dwarves, and he has on his pedestal, on his throne hefted by his thanes, the Great Book of Grudges, in which he records every single misdeed committed against the Dwarves. And so what did you do, Jack? What did Manfred do to earn himself a place in the Great Book of Grudges, and thus cause this battle today.
Didn't bring a gift to his birthday party.
Oh, what a bastard! What a bastard!
I mean, he just didn't have the time. He's been busy.
Was it forgivable?
Raiding and pillaging.
I mean, who knows? So I've chosen the Castle Drakenhof map for you. It's a big open plain, a slight elevation in the middle, but nothing too drastic. A little bit of tree cover, nothing too expansive. Good for cavalry if you were to field any, but other than that, lots of long sight lines for range units to take advantage of, so you best be careful when advancing, because the dwarves, by lieu of them having plenty of artillery, are not ones for coming away from their safe spot. I don't particularly like the dwarves because they promote a style of gameplay which you can just set up a defensive line, set up your artillery, and take your hands off the keyboard, go make a cup of tea, have a shower, make a sandwich, write an essay, and then come back and the game will auto-complete itself for you. And in a game that me and Jack have a lot of fun winning insurmountable battles with extreme skill, I don't judge that as being very fun. Anyway, alright Jackie, if you want to line up all your troops for me, I'll have a gweld. Already you can see this horrible, like frenzied flapping over here, but we'll get to that in a minute. So over here we don't have Manfred von... Oh no, yes, we have Vlad von Carstein, the Patriarch. So as the oldest of the von Carstein vampiric family, he has the most fancy armies, big blades, this big chest piece, this hood, and a nice cape for himself, embossed with the von Carstein sigil I should say. Also bought, I think this is Elsa von Carstein, she's one of the daughters of the von Carstein family. The female vampires are used as spellcasters in the Vampire Count's roster, and you can see in her unit card she has an array of different spells, so that requires some micromanagement. Here we have zombies, who is probably the most basic unit of the game. They have very little armor, very little attack and defense, next to no weapon damage, no charge bonus, they're very spaced out. But they have one up point, expendable. The zombies generally go at the front of the army, and they're very good to use against dwarves, because dwarves will waste their ammunition trying to target them as a priority, and they'll be left with they'll be left without their biggest advantage, which is ranged ability. Here we have the Grave Guard, who are the chosen undead guardians of the von Carstein crypts and castles. They're wielding plate mail, scale armor, swords and shields, so they are essentially dismounted Reichsguard. I keep on coming back to the Reichsguard, I've got a real affinity for them. Here we have the Hex Wraiths, who look absolutely ballin'. They've got skeletal horses, sort of Witch King of Angmar crowns, and these big scythes which can be swung from horseback and puncture through armor. I'm gonna have to elevate the camera here. Yeah, that's fine. Got some Fellbats here, who's this constant writhing, seething mass of wings and teeth. These Fellbats are bigger than they appear. They are maybe 3/4 the size of a man, but here is the pièce de résistance. Actually, no, that's over there. These are the Vargeists. These are vampires who have recently succumbed to their bloodlust. These sweet afros. If you see blood spurting and sweet afros, it's probably the Vargeists. They have an ability, Frenzy. So whilst they are confident and their leadership is high, they cause more damage than otherwise. But the biggest transformation and final form of the vampiric bloodlust line is the Vargulf, who's this extremely beast-like, furry, bat-faced thing. I mean, there's no real way to define what it is. It is just a creature. Evolved beyond the realms of vampire, beyond the realms of Vargeist. The Vargulf is an extremely powerful armor-piercing melee unit, and we'll see him bounding into the battle very, very shortly. So what's your battle line going to consist of then, Jack? How are you going to counter the artillery?
Well, that's what I've got the fire units for.
Yeah, so you're just going to go over their heads and kill the crews.
You know, it depends on how far the rest of them go. If they go too far, the hex rate's going to go down and down.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, yes, it is also worth looking over here. In this tree line, hidden from the dwarves' line of sight, are the Hex Wraiths, who are vanguard. you can see that their attacks are flaming, so they'd be especially good against zombies and normal Empire scrubs, and they also have magical attacks. This unit inflicts magical attacks, which can harm units that are protected from regular physical attacks. So Hex Wraiths, in a way, are a good counter to Hex Wraiths. It'll be an interesting matchup. I'm not sure how this is going to go, you know, because Grave Guards aren't armor piercing, but they are bloody strong. Here we've got the zombies, this big... You can see that the Grave Guards have been reanimated with a much higher sentience, because they have a formation of 90 men. The zombies have 120, but the zombies are very, very wide, spaced out, high health, whilst the Grave Guard are packed into these very uniform lines and ranks. Vargulf enforcing the right flank, and the Vargeist and the Bats hovering above. Spellcasters and melee professionals on the left flank. Let's go. Okay, so first thing I want to look at immediately is Thorgrim Grudgebearer. This is the Highking of the Dwarves, and here on his pedestal is the Great Book of Grudges. You can see, even as he's riding into battle, he's considering which grudge to seek revengeance on. And here are his 4 loyal throne bearers. Thorgrim rides to battle with his axe aboard this throne and will not climb off it. Up here, the dwarves, as you can see, are masters of technology, and these are their gyrocopters bearing brimstone guns. These will be extremely hard to take out, and they can cause a lot of damage if they get in range. They are armoured and armour-piercing anti-large, so a Vargulf will be very vulnerable to them. And here, one of Thorgrim's loyal thanes, a extremely heavily armoured, well-bearded, and sick-winged dwarven melee specialist. Here we have their standard infantry, still 80 armour and shielded. These are the dwarf warriors, chainmail with plate bracers, thick helmets, and good round shields. God, mate, I'll get back to the units in a minute. So the Vargeist are cruising over, have the massive advantage of flying, and they're going to intercept what looks like the Rangers from back here. Oh, he's gone straight in for the flame cannons. Oh, brutal. The dwarves, being much smaller than normal men, cannot withstand charges very easily. Yeah, give it a pause. Okay, cool. Whilst Jack goes to do that, I'll just focus on the carnage that's going on over here. So we've got over here the flame cannon. This is one of the most technologically advanced pieces of kit that the dwarves can muster. It is an anti-infantry flamethrower. There's really no way to describe it. It's a massive field deployed flamethrower. You can see here like the utter carnage and brutality that the they're disgusting. The Vargeist have already broken up this dwarven formation. They weren't expecting it. Jack's come perfectly over that hill and intercepted them on their way past. That means that this dwarven artillery crew is completely vulnerable. It's alright, pal, I'm just looking through your units. Over here we have another one of the elite units. I've made sure that the dwarves are very well supplemented. So you've got Thorgrim and his Thane charging way out in front here, and here we have the Iron Drakes. As you can see, the Iron Drakes even had armoured beards, plate pauldrons, plate bracers, chainmail on everywhere that's vulnerable. Their helmets are extremely fearsome, and they are these vicious flamethrower wielding madmen. So the Thane has crashed right into your Graveguard. They're being incinerated by the Iron Drakes, but luckily the Graveguard are armoured, so they're putting up a very good fight. The Thane is actually very tall for a dwarf. Thorgrim Grudgebearer, you can see here, his Throne Bearer is very vulnerable, but luckily he has this mighty magical axe to go through. Over here we have the Hammerers, another very elite unit. They're a melee specialist, very good armour, and afforded these giant hammers. Let's have a look at this battle line here. The dwarves really don't mess around.
Whoa. They are hammering my Graveguard.
They really are. These big wide swings. Your Graveguard are very durable, they have a lot of health and a lot of armour, but sadly these are armoured piercing damage dealers, so they are... Your Graveguard are putting up a very good fight though, but maybe not for too much longer. Over here in the back line you can see that these Vargeist are really doing some damage. However, Jackie's going to pull them out, which is very wise because they are starting to get surrounded and you don't want to be slogged in a fight with heavily armed and armoured infantry. Hex Wraiths are going in. The throng of dwarves is too much to get a good charge in at this point, but these sides are really, really vicious. If they plan on using them, There we go. Oh, and the poor artillery crew is just being savaged at the minute. They're shaken, very few of them are left, but those guns are still active for the moment. The Iron Drakes have been split apart. They're not very good against armour, so the Graveguard are perfect. You can see Vlad von Carstein wading amongst them there. Graveguard dispatching the last few of their members. They're waddling away with these big, heavy fire guns. No chance, no chance. Here we have this Vargeist, this horrible, beastly abomination chasing down Thorgrim, really pounding at the throne. Sadly, Thorgrim never recoils very much, but you can see his health bar is trickling down with each attack. It was a miss. He's getting away. So the main army is actually staging quite a good push here. They're regrouping and they're pushing towards the Hex Wraith, who they can identify is one of their biggest threats. It looks like the Flame Cannon is actually back up and running. Yep, they are firing back into the Graveguard line. Thorgrim Grudgebearer has been pulled from his throne and devoured by the Vargulf, which is now completely covered in blood. It looks like Elsa von Carstein is actually chasing down the mighty Dwarven Thane, which is not a very mighty picture at all. What else have we got? Who's still brave enough? Okay, we've got these Iron Breakers, who are essentially the Reichsguard of the Dwarven nation. They are extremely heavily armoured melee troopers, and you might have seen a moment ago they're whipping grenades. Here they go. These flaming casts and demolition sacks just tearing through the Graveguard. Nearly nothing left. They're dispersed, they're unorganised, but now the Vargulf's gone in. Vargulf being armour piercing. And a very, very, very large target, especially for the small dwarves. And the Vargeists have gone in, completely swarming them. I doubt even the bravest of dwarves, such as these Iron Breakers, will be able to withstand this for very long. The Vargulf has just completely destroyed the torso of that poor man, only a pair of legs and a gunpowder satchel left. The Quarrel is here, the standard crossbow infantry, even they have axes and shields to defend themselves with, but looking on to the horror that is occurring with their allies, I don't think they're going to stand much of a chance. This is actually a fairly well-pitched battle. The Dwarves have actually regained themselves and are coming back in to fight the Graveguard. You have to play this very carefully, otherwise you might actually lose this one. Oh no, victory's in your grasp. The gyro bombers have gone on almost completely unharmed. I think they might have run out of ammunition.
If you're in your own campaign though, you can choose your units a lot more carefully.
You can, yeah. I gave you a budget and just threw you into the deep end here. A big hit on the Vargeist there. The poor thing recoiled away from that flame cannon, which actually done a lot of damage over the course of this match. The Iron Breakers have done very well for themselves, dispatching the last of one unit of Vargeist. You can see over here this red spark coming off of the flags means crumbling. Being undead, the Vampire Count's units don't break in the traditional way in that they lose courage and run away. They crumble. The dark magic that binds them to life dissipates the more they take damage, and aside from dying, they can also crumble to dust and will perish that way. The Vargulf has good binding at the moment. He's resisting quite well, although his leadership on the left, you can see 27, 30, 38. He's regaining himself bit by bit. But Elsa von Carstein goes absolutely flying because of these flame turret rounds. The Graveguard on this side are about to give out. Only 5 brave members left. You can see these. Just crumbling to pieces. Vlad is being surrounded bit by bit by Dwarven warriors, although they aren't armor piercing. The sheer weight of numbers will eventually get to him. They're jumping in. Dwarves, as said by the developers, are like a coiled spring. Their leaps and charges are very powerful. Let's see this Vargulf go in. Stop by the cannon. What a disappointment. But this poor guy is going to learn the mistake that he's made. What head. The Iron Breakers are actually hurling satchel charges in and amongst their own troops in an attempt to in a sense to kill the Vargulf, who is doing very, very well for himself. He's actually one of the final units lasting. This poor unit of Grave... the gyrocopters have actually run out of ammunition and now meleeing Elsa von Carstein to death. Poor lass. She's getting a few good kicks in before she goes down though. Vlad doing extremely well for himself, still strong binding, lost very, very little health. These Dwarven warriors just can't seem to stand up to him. They're exhausted, which means their melee proficiency and defense will be vastly diminished from what it was at the start of the battle. These big thrusts on that magical sword. Oh, he's casting magic on himself. What are you casting, Jack? The Curse of Years. That gives minus 34 melee attack, 24 speed and ability recharge, generally making them extremely sluggish, i.e. the Curse of Years makes them old men. Oh, big swings there, got a few good kills in. You're covered absolutely head to toe in blood. Jack's going for Vanel's Dance Macabre, which increases your your speed and attack. Excellent for chasing down retreating dwarves. They're exhausted, they're routing. These ones are exhausted, they will soon be retreating as well. God, who's left? The Vargulf, extremely resilient in its attack, and Elsa von Carstein have actually got proper stuck in. Oh, the gyrocopters have been brought down as well, made themselves vulnerable by flying too close to the ground. The Vargulf really put in pay to these poor dwarven warriors. Oh, big knockbacks, big attacks, plenty of damage.
The vampire's still there.
I know, she's really, really resilient, which is actually really surprising. She's even fighting. She's even fighting the Ironbreakers, but I suppose the Ironbreakers aren't. Oh, the aspect of the Dread Knight has been activated, which means that the Vargulf causes terror, further decreasing the bravery and leadership of the dwarves. However, these Ironbreakers are extremely. They are Thorgrim's best men, not liable to break any line once they have chosen their fight, and will carry out vengeance in the name of the Great Book of Grudges at any point, even if that means their own death. The Dwarven warriors have actually regained themselves once again. They're exhausted. Oh, the poor Vargulf has finally been taken down. Elsa von Carstein is being battered. I think she's in her death throes as well. She's crumbling, but she's surrounded. She's fighting to the death. You can see these. They are, yeah, father and daughter fighting. The dwarves are properly surrounding them now. Ironbreakers and warriors. Elsa's down. All that's left is what. Yeah, he survived for an extremely long time. He's withstood 3 units of dwarven warriors this whole time, but now let's see if the warriors have come back again. These warriors have broken, and another one's come back in. They keep on breaking and coming back. They are so resilient.
They just took out their own unit.
They did. They're furiously bombarding that fire gun. Oh, that was incredibly bad. Oh, the Ironbreakers are actually. Oh my God, the Ironbreakers are routing now because the flame cannon has done so much damage to their numbers. They're actually running away. Oh, Jack's going straight into these quarrelers. Sick of these ranged punks. Oh, in a flurry of fire, Vlad von Carstein hammers into their ranged units. Oh, the crossbows have been slung on their backs. They've got out their axes. You can hear the tinkling of other crossbow bolts hitting Vlad's armor. Good God, they are belligerent with that. Jesus, this flame gun is ludicrous. Oh my God, you won.
I won.
You won.
Fair dues, one man army.
Jesus, Vlad von Carstein. Vlad von Carstein combined with the might of their flame cannon won you the fight. I can't believe the Ironbreakers broke. That's ridiculous. Well done, Jack. You faced.
Well, they're getting cannoned in the back by their own people.
I know. You would have absolutely lost that. There's no way to beat the dwarves unless.
They've still got so many people, and I've only got Vlad von Carstein.
I know. That was ridiculous.
Look at what they've got left.
What did they even do? All right. Well, GG, I guess. Well done, Jack. We'll be back for another episode very soon.